Welcome back. Okay, in this video we're going to be talking about one of the more powerful things about Excel, which is formulas. Formulas, and we're also going to be talking about the topic of PEMDAS. And in order to do this topic, I actually have to draw it out here, and this is kind of cool because this is a new feature that was released. I have a touch screen, and so I get to kind of play with this new feature. This is not anything you need to know for this class, but just in case you have a touchscreen and you're interested in it, it's on the Draw tab, and I'm going to go over here to Draw with Touch, and so that's what I'm going to be using in order to show this. Okay, so imagine that you have a formula that is 10 times 2 plus 6. Okay, so 10 times 2 you know is 20, right? So 20 plus 6 would give you 26. All right, but imagine if you wanted, for whatever reason, for the 2 plus 6 to happen first. So if you wanted 2 plus 6 to happen first, that would be 8 times the 10, which would give you 80, right? So it would be 10 times 2 plus 6. We want the 2 plus 6 to happen first, so that's 8, and 10 times 8 is equal to 80. And you can see here that 26 and 80 are two completely different numbers, two different results, right? Same numbers that we start with. Well, the reason that Excel automatically does this is because of something called PEMDAS. PEMDAS stands for parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, and subtraction. Many of you might remember the phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," as a way of remembering PEMDAS. But basically what it means is it's the order of precedence. It's the order that Excel performs a function. So when we look at this formula over here, the 10 times 2 plus 6, we see first it says, are there any parentheses? No. Are there any exponents? No. Is there multiplication? Yes. Here's the multiplication, right? So it does the 10 times 2 first, resulting in the 20. Then it says, okay, is there any division? No. Is there any addition or subtraction? The answer is yes, and so it does the 20 plus 6, resulting in 26. So now we come over to this one here, and we say, okay, what I want to be able to do is have it do the 2 plus 6 first. So if we use this idea of PEMDAS, we know that if we put parentheses, so I'm going to add a parentheses here and a parentheses here, I'm going to have 10 times 2 plus 6. What that's going to do is it's going to do the 2 plus 6 first. It's going to give me the 8. Then it's going to do the 10. So I'm going to get 10 times 8, and I'm going to get the result of 80, which is what I want to do. So what you need to know when you're building your formula is, what do you want it to do first? If you want it to do the addition or subtraction first, you have to surround it with parentheses. If you want it to do, if it doesn't matter, then you can leave it as it is. Okay, you don't need to have the parentheses. So you just want to keep in mind that PEMDAS at all times, so you try to decide how you want to build your formula. Okay, so now we're going to see how do we actually make this work in the world of Excel. So I'm going to erase all of this. See how cool is this feature? I'm just erasing it on my screen with my finger. Okay, having way too much fun doing that. Turn my eraser off, and so now here I am. Okay. So here I am, and imagine I have, so what was the scenario we had? We had 10, we had 2, and we had 6. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to basically build our formula here, and every formula always starts with an equal sign. And then what we'll do is we use our mouse to point out the cell that we have the number in. So our formula we know we want is 10 times 2 plus 6. 10 is in cell B2. So I'm going to use my mouse and I'm going to click on cell B2. And I notice when I do that, that B2 pops down here and it also shows up here on the formula bar. It's in both places, okay? And next I want to do multiplication. And if you take a look at the right side of your keyboard where the numeric keypad is, you'll notice that you have a slash, an asterisk, a dash, and a plus. That's division, multiplication, subtraction, and addition. Okay, so those are the ones that I recommend you use when you're building your formulas versus the ones that are strewn across your keyboard with your numbers, because you're more likely to make mistakes. Okay, you can use the ones up top. There is no difference, but I think that these are just easier to use. All right, so I'm going to do the multiplication. And next I want to go grab the number 2 so I can multiply by cell B3. So I'm going to click on cell B3 and I see my formula being built, equal B2 times B3. Now I'm going to add, and I'm going to add the contents of cell B4. Okay. Now some of you might be wondering, why am I not just typing in equal 10 times 2 plus 6? And I'm going to show you the reason for that in a second. That will work, but it sort of defeats the whole purpose of Excel. Okay. So anytime that you're done entering text or formulas or numbers in a cell, you always have to hit the Enter key. Okay. So as soon as you hit the Enter key, you're now going to learn why the formula bar is called the formula bar. Notice I no longer see my formula. I see the resulting value of 26, but if I go up to cell B6, I can see that I see the result here, but take a look at the formula bar. That's where I'm actually seeing the formula that I typed in, which is why it's called the formula bar. So this shows the result, and this shows the actual formula. Okay, so what's cool about this is now if I were to change a number, let's say instead of 10, I want this to be 100, right? So I just come up, I change it to 100. Watch my resulting value of 26. As soon as I hit Enter, boom, it's recalculated to 206. Okay, so that's really why we choose to break them up into different cells instead of just typing in equal 10 times 2 plus 6. You could do that, but it's not done very often. It's only done if you're trying to do a quick calculation for your own purposes, kind of like a calculator, versus using it in an Excel spreadsheet. Okay, so let's go back to the whole purpose of this discussion, which is how does PEMDAS work? So I have my formula here, which is equal B2 times B3 plus B4. But I decide that I wanted to do the addition first. So as I'm typing this out now, I'm going to do equal, and I'm going to again click, this time it's C2. Okay, so I got C2 times, and I'm going to click on C3, right? Plus, I'm going to click on C4. But I realized that I wanted to do the addition first. So I could have done it as I was typing it, but I choose, if I don't realize until afterwards, you can go back at any point in time. I'm going to click here between the multiplication sign and my cell reference, and I'm going to do a left parenthesis. And then I'm going to click at the end, and I'm going to put in a right parenthesis. Okay, so you can see here I've now added the parentheses. Also notice everything's color coordinated, which is kind of cool. So it's showing you this is blue, this is red, this is purple. I think that's kind of neat. All right, so as I hit Enter here, you can see the same numbers, right? Same basic formula. The only difference is that I've used parentheses, okay? And here I'm obviously referencing the cells in C instead of B, but it's the same thing. So what if I came back to this original formula and I decided I wanted to add parentheses here, right? Just to prove that it is exactly the same thing. In this case, I'm going to go up to the formula bar and I'm going to add in my parentheses, right? So that's telling it that because of PEMDAS, it's got to do the parentheses first. As soon as I hit Enter, boom, have the same number, right? And if any of these numbers change, my formula automatically updates. Pretty cool, right? Okay. One other thing that I want to show you for this particular video is sometimes when there's a problem, you're not getting the answer that you think you should be getting, you could sit here and stare at this resulting number all day long, and it is not going to change, right? What you really have to look at is the formula. So you always want to keep in mind that if something's not right, the formula is where you need to be looking, okay? You have the ability, if you go to Formulas, on the Formulas tab, and you go up to Show Formulas, it will actually show you your formulas in your worksheet, which is kind of a cool feature. So if you're trying to find where there's a mistake somewhere, that's a nice way to do it, okay? And it's a toggle on and off, so you can just kind of toggle it that way. The keyboard shortcut for it is Control apostrophe. The apostrophe is located underneath the Escape key. Okay, so that's the toggle for the keyboard shortcut for it. Okay, so in the next video, I'm going to be creating real formulas in this spreadsheet here, so stay tuned.